You know what I mean. Yo, we got stuck. Look at this. Vol gauntlets. Oh! Do you like what you see? What do I get? Gloves. Yes. What do I get? Oh, or should I try to become Mathel? Mathel incoming. Are you ready? Ah! Oh shit, what the f— Alright, let's do some damage here, shall we? Like, what the heck? Ah! 4 out of 5. Alright, so now that you've seen some gameplay, I guess we'll talk about the build. These are just my thoughts on the characters so far. Overall, I'd say Summoner is like... Let's talk about pros and cons. So pros, one of the most fun builds that I've had the pleasure of playing recently. You guys know me, I like speed clear builds. I like to just like go fast in maps. Bossing's kind of fun, but you know, I had a Glacial Cascade Miner for that, so I was like, you know, why do I really need another character for that as well? And it turned out that this is tied for #1 on my list of the most fun builds to play this league. And you know, I know it's like super weird, and a lot of times you watch Spectres and you're like, yeah, you know, you're not really doing anything, right? You're just kind of letting the Spectres like sit around and cast. But really, you are pressing a lot of buttons. So the playstyle is like really engaging if that's something you're into. If you don't like the snooze man playstyle, so like I'm always shield charging around to get my fortify up, always proccing hits to get my scourge buff up, convocating to make sure that, like, you know, my minions are in the right position, sometimes without corpses around, because there's certain mobs that don't leave corpses. You're casting your desecrate, and you know, sometimes you have to like resummon your minions and stuff. So it is pretty engaging not skill, but very engaging gameplay if you're into that. Variety is nice. You get to choose pretty much like whatever Spectres you want. Like there is certain meta Spectres, for example, you know, Solar Guards is extremely meta, and then Tukohama's Vanguards, if you really want to like juice the single target, that is quite nice as well. So playstyle feels good. Variety is really good, really cheap to get started. Now the gear that I have on we'll go over later. It's a little bit expensive, but that's just because, I mean, I had the money late. It's very late in the league actually, and so I thought I'd just take the Spectres as far as it'll go. But from what people that are smarter than me tell me, you know, Gazi, Uber Elite, those kinds of guys who know Spectres much more than I, you can get this started on, you know, 20, 30 chaos, whatever, and it will clear maps. Someone in my chat earlier cleared like Shaper at level 75 or something. It's just like, it doesn't take any investment, and the scaling mostly comes from like the tree general rule to follow that Gazi told me about, was that like if something doesn't say 2 minions, you can kind of discount that, okay, the majority of the time, as not applying to Spectres. And because of that, you have very limited ways of scaling, which we'll go over on gear and things like that later. But as you can see, gameplay wise, pretty nice. You don't really have to do much. The shield charge playstyle, when you shield charge ahead, your Solar Guards, I'm going to be talking about both Solar Guards and Tukohamas today, but the Solar Guards will clear, and then when they like teleport to you, even if you don't use Convocate like this, right, they teleport you and then they'll clear again. So they're like always playing catch up. And it's really nice for map clear, you know, Aziri, all that stuff. Shaper, in between realms, which is notoriously, it feels kind of bad for certain builds like Miner and things that are slower and just dedicated on boss killing. So that's about it there. Cons of the build, there are a few that I'll mention here. So first of all, you have to play on lockstep. The reason you have the biggest con for me is that you have to play on lockstep, because if you don't play on lockstep, there's going to be some desync when you're shield charging around. I found that you can reduce desync by not holding down left click when you are shield charging and just pointing and shield charging, but no one, let's be honest, nobody wants to do that, right? And so that was a little bit annoying. Another thing is gem swaps. So for solar guards, the annoying thing was that you have to gem swap when you get to the boss. Like on Shaper, I'll do slower proj, and then in between phases, I put in a GMP. Now, that's not that big a deal, but when you do it over and over and over again, it becomes a little bit of an annoyance. So there's that to think about. Another con is that the AI can be a little bit wonky for both solar guards as well as the Tukohamas. Maybe they won't. With the solar guards, it's when you're doing boss damages, right? You put in slower proj, so not only is it just one projectile now, besides the like the solar beam thing, the actual projectiles are just one, and they're so slow that if they're attacking the wrong thing or in the wrong place or not attacking at all, it's a huge detriment. So that's another con of the build. For Tukohamas, what I found this weird behavior where their totem placement, there's ramp up, right? So first they all have to place their totems, then it has to ramp up to the resistance debuff, and then they have to be within range. And like the Vanguard range is like, if the totem is like where my character is, the end of the beam is like where Zana is pretty much. So if they're out of range, what they're gonna do is your totems are gonna shoot a target even if it's out of range. So like if boss is over here where my mouse is and the totem sees it, it'll shoot over there, but it won't reach it. And so like sometimes that can be really annoying. And then sometimes they refuse to put down another totem when you shield charge past the pack. You have to wait for the old totems to get killed or expire sometimes. And these are all like minor things that you won't experience. Like you'll notice after playing like maybe like 10 hours of the build. You'll be like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. And so there's things like that. But overall, it's definitely a plus. I would recommend anyone who's even slightly considered playing a Spectre build to go ahead and try it. So I'm going to give you guys both setups. I'm going to give you guys the Solar Guard and the Tukohama setup that I use. Let me try to find it first. Okay, so here's what we do. The reason I'm using the Scourge Claw, we'll go over all the gear first, and then we'll go over the gemlings. I use the Scourge Claw because this counts as any hit. So if I arc, if I shield charge, all that stuff counts as getting the buff. So 70% increased minion damage if you have hit recently within the last 4 seconds. And that's huge because the scaling, once again, is so hard to come by. Minion damage, you can get on tree, you can get on jewels, maybe you can get on gloves. You want to try to get as much minion damage as you can for it to feel really smooth. And so that's how I went with the Scourge. It's got a local attack speed modifier, 15%. So shield charging when I pop my Quicksilver, as you can see here, not decent, right? Not as fast as some zoom mapping builds that you might be used to, but it's totally fine. And with Flesh Offering, oh man, I just ruined my own. Hideout. It's pretty decent, right? It's not anything that you'll be like, oh man, I wish I was like so much faster. Culling Strike on it, you don't need that. That's just an implicit you can get for like maybe an Exalt or two on a Scourge, and that makes it, that's like kind of global to my hits. So if I arc or I shield charge into a monster with this claw, then I will cull it. So just an added bonus. The helm that I'm using is a Tempest Binding. You don't have to use this. You can use any kind of bone helm for more resist, more life if you want. The only reason I'm using this is because I like the look of this minion. Sometimes he he arcs a chill or a shock, which you might not have done. So it's a little bit added bonus, and it looks pretty damn cool when you're doing it. But you do not need this helm. If you do get this helm, I think the best enchant is the Spectre's 40% increased damage. Once again, same reason that damage is hard to come by. The shield I'm using is Victario's Charity. I'm using Necromantic Aegis on the skill tree here. So what this does is all bonuses from the equipped shield apply to the minions instead of you. What that does is they are essentially wearing the shield. They're going to get power and frenzy charges for you, and then also gives them some added benefits, but doesn't really matter. It's mostly just for the power frenzy charges, and so this is an offensive shield. It's pretty cool. Necromantic Aegis is a very nice keystone, and we'll talk about it's way more juicy with the Tukohama's Vanguards, but I'll explain that in a second. So use this shield. Your other options, you can really use anything you want. You don't have to use this, but any shield you can equip is totally fine. And then the amulet, I'm using a Side Breath. just because like I'm not really mapping, so I don't need Abyssgos or anything. So this is just minion speed, life, a little bit of resist, and I happen to be able to get a +1 curse side breath for, I think it was like 2 or 3 exalts at the time that I bought this. I bought all my gear in bulk like a long time ago before I even leveled the build, so it was cheaper back then. I don't know what the prices of these things are now, but pretty nice amulet. Once again, you can use any other substitute if you want. +1 curse is nice when you use arc, which we'll go over later. But yeah, this is not like that important. It's just kind of nice quality of life there. I think the chest is mandatory. It gives you some ES. It gives you some manas. It gives you the big node is the minions deal 15% increased damage and +1 maximum number of specters. So because you're going to use Bones of Allure as well, so you'll have 1 base, 1 from Bones of Allure, 1 from Vis Mortis, 1 from Skill Tree. That's 4 specters. So this is really nice. And an Unholy Might for 10 seconds on kill, and like not really that big a deal, but it's just kind of cool. And so Vis Mortis right now, I think it's like 5 link is what, like 50 chaos or something, so not that bad. But you can I killed Shaper on a 0 link with Wraith Spectre the other day. I died like 6 times, but still, a 0 link Spectre without wearing any gear and no flasks killed Shaper. So the Spectre is strong enough. You don't need this like +1 action here. And then for rings are actually really easy to shop for. You're going for whatever life and resist you can, first of all, and dex if you can get it, because there is like some strong dex requirements for the build. So get your rings, and then the bonus is minions movement speed, but you don't really need that. Those are essence crafted and they might be expensive, but just shore up your resist, get as much life as you can, get some dex if you can, and then that's about it. And then minion speed is the bonus, and same with this one, right? And other than that, the gloves that I have is exactly the same thing. So I'm going with minion damage gloves. These are master crafted on, really cheap. Just get as much life as you can and shore up your resistances if you can. The enchant on these does not matter. If you're gonna get enchant, maybe you go for Illusion Man, where it summons a copy. Maybe that can provide you some protection, but not necessary either. Boots, Bones of Allure, nothing to see here. Stats on the boots besides the plus specters is like really garbage. Like 15% movement speed, so slow, not a lot of life, but you have to get it for the plus specters. And I went with the 2% life and mana per second. But another thing you could buy if you can't find regen 2% life mana per second, if you're hit recently, you can get 10% movement speed if you haven't been hit recently. And those are totally fine too. It'll give you some mobility. The regen, sometimes I'm using like Vitality for my Tukohamas, since there's not a lot of auras that can affect them, and so that's kind of nice along with the boot enchant. But once again, the boot enchant, all you need is the Bones of Allure. Boot enchant is secondary, but try to get either 2% or 10% move speed. Belt, I'm using a Headhunter just because I needed the dex really badly. Umbilicus Immortalis is another choice. Then you can go all offensive flasks. And the flask is like not that big a deal, so you can use anything you want. Offensive things would be like Dying Sun and like maybe like Wise Oak and like other really offensive flasks for your, or like maybe Adzubi's Promise for your Solar Guards, and that stuff would be a lot more damage, but you don't really need more damage on this build, so this is just for dex really. And then you will steal things like Discipline Aura, Haste Aura. Auras will apply to your minions, but your minions do not benefit from this. So if I get a Deadly mod, if I get all these like, you know, Charges mods and things like that, they will not apply to my Spectres. Only auras that I steal will apply to the Spectres. And of course, the Spectres killing the monsters does count as you killing the monsters, so you will steal all the rare affixes every time you kill. Other than that, we have the flasks. So I'm going all defensives just because, you know, I just want to survive a little bit. None of these, since I'm not wearing the Immortalis belts, all of these just apply to me. So I have a Stib Knight. Smoke Cloud's really nice for monsters that have attacks, right? It just basically makes their accuracy rating go to poop. And remove curses just in case. I mean, this one is a Basalt of Staunching. You need to solve the bleeding issue somehow, because bleeds are really scary in 3.0 for some reason. And so this is just a Chemist Basalt of Staunching. Quicksilver Adrenaline just to move a little bit faster, get a little bit more mobility. Granite Flask here. This should actually be Granite Flask of Heat. I actually messed this one up, but it's just what I had in my inventory when I made the character. I've been playing like this for like weeks. So get a Granite Flask of like Heat, probably solve your freeze issues there. And then here's a Taste of Hate. Now this is like completely optional. You don't need this item at all. This is just for, I want a little bit extra physical damage protection, because when I do Shaper and sometimes at Zubies, I just charge through everything. And when you're charging through everything on lockstep, it's not dangerous unless like you get stuck. And if you get stuck in the middle of pack, chances are that it's going to be like some physical monsters that are going to booty blast you. So there's just an extra layer of protection. But once again, flats are completely customizable. You do whatever you want. Just make sure that you solve bleed. Make sure that you solve your freeze. Yeah, freeze and bleed. There you go. And then other than that, for Pantheon, I took Lunaris just for a little bit of speed, and also, you know, if you have minions, you don't want to get chained all day. And then the other one I took Ralakesh. I don't even have like the second part of this, but I really don't like bleed. So like anything I can do against it, because like I'm like watching Twitch chat all the time and stuff, right? So I don't really pay that much attention. So I went with this, but these two are, I think this one's probably mandatory for the chaining stuff, but this one, the minor power, you do whatever you want there. Other pieces of gear that you cannot see right now are, whoops, that's not the skill tree, gems. So I'm using 2 Unending Hungers. You only need 1. 1 will very reliably proc on all 4 of your Spectres, but I'm using 2 just, I mean, why not, right? Because I'm 100% and I have so many, I have like other jewel sockets, like a decent amount of other jewel sockets. So since minion gems are really hard to come by, like they're not really that important unless you're willing to spend like a bajillion exalts. So get yourself at least one Unending Hunger Cobalt Jewel. It gives them Soul Eater for 30 seconds, which is like so long. And the area effect is like, I mean, I guess it's kind of nice for the minions because they like don't have any. And the Solar Beam, when they charge it up, they're like, boom, like that thing looks kind of cool. So maybe that helps a little bit. But the other jewels, what you're looking for is life most of all. So this is a life-based build. You can't go low life at all, but it's a little bit more complicated. I went life-based, so because of that, like first I did counters for like minion damage and then life, and even that was like sometimes really hard to find, or it was like multiple exalts. So I went jewels that have, like this one has a little bit of resist, a little bit of dex, which I sorely need, minion damage. This one has all res, maximum life, minion damage, a little bit of resist. So just get life and minion damage as you can as your primary things, and then shore up maybe your resist and maybe your dex with the jewels as well. And that's about it. What is this one? Yeah, see, life, minion damage, and then a little bit of resist, and this one, actually that's not one, and that's about it. So that's with the jewels. Skill tree, you're gonna just swing around and grab all the life nodes you can on which, as you can see, my tree sucks because I had to grab a lot of these. Can I refund any of these? Oh, I just saved a point. Oh my god. Okay, I just saved a point. Wow, I'm very glowy brain right now. So you swing around, you grab all the life you can, you grab all the minion nodes that you can. You can even like swing this way and then not get this minion life node, but minion life nodes, minion nodes here, there's minion nodes right here, and then what else is there? I think that's about it for the minion node. There's like a minion node over here somewhere. I forgot where it is, but you don't need it. It's too many points for not enough benefit. So minions here, minions here, minions here, and you're pretty much all set. Once again, unless the thing says like minions do something, it's most of the time it's not going to apply. So it was like it was really hard for me to understand this, because like there's a boot enchant that says like 10%, or it's like some kind of penetration if you haven't killed recently, right? And so I was like, oh, well, it just says generic penetration, maybe it works for my Spectres and stuff. It doesn't work for your Spectres. So be very careful of what stats you go for and what nodes you go for, because sometimes they won't even apply to your minions. Another thing you can do here is on the skill tree is you can go elemental equilibrium. I'm using arc, and if you look at the tooltip, everything is lightning. So I am and since solar guards and Tukohama's, the two that I use, are both fire, I can get away with using this. I can arc here, and then also if you look here, even my shield charge has a little bit of lightning damage on it from this ring, I believe, and so it It makes them a little bit less resistant. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. You don't have to get that if you don't want to. So yeah, get jewel slots, get life base, get the three minion clusters. I went over here for auras, but I don't even think this is necessary. I just wanted some decent amount of mana because you will be spending mana. It's not as passive as you might think. So aura nodes over here, but definitely play around with the tree. This one isn't perfect. I don't really know that much about specters. I've just been playing this build quite a bit, and it's pretty fun. Oh, sorry, there's a minion node right here too. My bad. See, shows how much I know, right? And then so yeah, what I recommend leveling, I recommend just leveling as something else. Once again, I always level as Abrath's Hooves, and so I leveled with that, and then I switched over to this at level 90, at level 92, and yeah, it's felt pretty good. You don't really need that many levels and clear all the content now. And other than that, let's talk about some things to know. Another thing when you're playing this build, I'll talk about Tukohama's Vanguards in a second, but another thing to note, you want to do the number lock trick for when you're playing specters, because with Shaper, if you shield charge, see, watch, without number lock trick, if I click here with my shield charge, I walk over and then I shield charge. So like sometimes Shaper Slam will get you, like, see, there's a little bit of delay before I shield charge. But if you do the number lock trick, right, and you like bind it to like number pad 9, you hold down 9, turn off number pad, release 9. Now, no matter where my mouse is here, see, I instantly shield charge. So do that. That's a big important thing about this build. With Solar Guards, so once again, Solar Guards is like, to give you an overview, the projectile attack with GMP is huge coverage. You will just obliterate everything. Most of the things, there will be a little bit of cleanup in mass, but like in Shaper zones, like you'll obliterate everything. Solar Beam has like crazy range. Like if Solar Guards are here, they'll like Solar Beam like something over here. They'll be like, whoop, boo, and then it's like spell echoed, right? So it's like boo, 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 boo. And then so let's talk about the actual links, which I forgot. So the actual links for the gems, the only thing that'll change when you change specters is the curse setup and then the chest. So let me go over the stuff that doesn't change. Shield charge is linked to fortify. You're always shield charging around, so you're always going to have that damage reduction. Really nice, faster attacks for mobility, and that's a little bit of safety as well. So shield charge, fortify, faster attacks. Get a 2023 if you can for the min max there. Helm, I'm doing Summon Stone Golem. Animate Guardian. So Summon Stone Golem is just for a little bit of regen. Animate Guardian is using a Leer cast on boost charge. If you're using Solar Guards, it's using a Dying Breath, and it's using Victario's Flights, and then it's using Southbounds for just more defensives. If you're using Tukohama's Vanguards, then your Animate Guardian drop the Dying Breath staff and then pick up 2 Diatuses, and that will basically double your burning damage. It's really crazy. Empower support, because levels help a lot, and then minion life support make them a little bit more tanky. I'm sure you could switch these two out for whatever you want, but it's not too big a deal. In the shield, actually no, let's go over gloves first. Flesh Offering, Desecrate, Increased Duration, Convocation. So Flesh Offering, Desecrate, and Convocate, they actually all benefit from increased duration, right? So like Flesh Offering is the big one. This one is really nice because what you're going to find is that it applies to you because of your ascendancy. So you're always casting this like probably like every, I don't know, 8 to 10 seconds, I'd say. Is what it feels like. And then Desecrate is to either summon your specters or to get the Flesh Offering corpses in case there are none laying around. Convocation is very important. You're going to spam this. That's this button right here. And that will bring your minions to your location. Convocate bugs out a lot when you're on predictive, so be very careful. I thought I was getting stunned out of it, but it turns out just predictive makes it like misfire a lot of the time. So very scary when you need them to be around you to absorb things like Chayula, spears, or like just, you know, projectiles in general. And then over here, so we have a curse on hit setup, Arc. I'm using Arc over Ball Lightning just because I like it a lot better. It's more instant. You don't have to use GMP. It doesn't clutter up the screen. There's a lot of benefits to Arc over Ball Lightning, but you can use Ball Lightning if you want. Curse on hit, 2023 is like the mid-maxed gem there if you want. Doesn't really matter. I'm using Flammability and Projectile Weakness. Flammability I use on both Tukohama's and on Solar Guards, and then Projectile Weakness I use only on Solar Guards, a massive DPS increase. Through my testing, it feels like Projectile Weakness is like vastly superior to elemental weakness, but when you use Tukohama's, swap out projectile weakness for elemental weakness because the totem searing scorching ray is not a projectile. And then from there, the auras. Haste is for both Spectres, Tukohamas and Solar Guards. And then Anger is only for the Solar Guards. Your totems will not benefit from Anger. Your Tukohama's melee attacks from the mobs themselves will benefit from Anger, but they do no damage, so don't worry about that. Generosity and Anger for Solar Guards. I use Generosity and Vitality, or I use Vitality, Enlighten linked to Haste. So, but you can just use Generosity; it's totally fine. And so that'll make your Spectres super tanky. And then for Solar Guards, I use Fire Pen, Raise Spectre, Control Destruction, Slower Proj, Spell Echo, and Minion Damage. You can try out some different stuff. So like you don't have, this can be another blue socket for LE Focus if you want. I was just trying out some stuff. I like to see corpses on fire, so I use this. Not a big deal at all. And now let me show you the Tukohama's setup here. So for Tukohamas, what I do is I replace 2 blues. So I replace Spell Echo and I replace Control Destruction with Efficacy and Elemental Focus for the Scorching Ray Tukohama Vanguard totems. And then my Fire Pen, I take that out and I put in Burning Damage. And then for the green slot, obviously you don't use Slower Proj or GMP, you use Swift Affliction. So that's the swap if you want to go Vanguards. And this is why I like a red slot here, because unless you have like a white socket or like 2 white sockets, I mean, it's gonna be kind of weird coloring back and forth. So they use the exact same colors, very easy swaps. I love that. Another thing for Tukohamas is I swap out the shield. So once again, I already went over the gems. The gem colors links stay the same, but a Tukohama's where is my Tukohama's, by the way? Right here. Tukohama's Fortress. So this, because I use Necromantic Aegis right here, this shield actually applies to my Spectres, and it's like really OP because now they can summon 8. Oh, it's 8 totems total, 2 totems per Tukohamas instead of 1, and like that just looks really cool and it does a lot of damage. So like it's pretty funny when you see 8 totems out, but this is like, I think it's like 8 exalts or something. So like maybe you don't want to buy this, but this was just like, why not, right? And so you put that in instead of that. Colors I have, once again, is because I use Enlighten, Haste, Vitality. Whoever thought you don't want to use Vitality, right? Swap out the auras as you want. You can get a little bit customizable with this. One thing I will say is that the Spectres are so tanky. Like they can tank a Slam, a full Shaper Beam, Purple Ball Phase. Like all that does, like, I don't know, 30-40% damage to you, either Solar Guards or the Tukohamas. But the bubble pool on the ground in Shaper's Realm is really deadly. So you want to make sure you get them away from the bubbles that are on the ground, because that sometimes can kill them. So I want to say I've done like between 50 and at least like 50, 60, 70 Shaper runs with Spectres, at least, maybe a lot more. And I can say that my Tukohamas died once, like 1 Tukohamas died once in all those runs. Solar Guards never died to Shaper, not once. And the thing you have to worry about is this guy, the Anime Guardian. He's such a little tiny little guy that he will die to a lot of things if you're not careful. He's gonna die to pools, he's gonna die to purple balls, he's gonna die to Shaper Beam, he's gonna die to auto attacks or something. He really sucks. And so that's why I recommend, if you're gonna use an Anime Guardian to really min-max, what you do is you buy up some gear sets for him. So like Ambus, right? Like these gloves. Just buy up a lot of them so that if he dies, leader cast, so that you just automatically equip his stuff. Right, and then like you just summon another one. But that's one of the annoying things about the build. Anime Guardian really sucks. Okay, other than that, is there anything else to talk about? Oh, let's talk about the Ascension here. So here, it doesn't matter what you go. You're gonna get all 4 of these so quickly that just get whatever. Maybe like this first. I don't know, then this, or this first, then this. It does not matter. This is nice. This will make you really fast and speedy It's basically like a haste aura that your Flesh Offering will affect you, or if you want to use Bone Offering for Tukohamas, you can. It'll affect you, so very nice. This is obviously just the classic Necromancer node here. You get some resist, you get some damages, nothing more to say there. Mini nodes are like minion damages. This one doesn't matter. I don't use zombies. You can if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. I think zombies really suck. And this is the big one, 100% increased life and 100% increased damage. And when you don't have that much damage on the tree, that is significant. So very simple ascendancy to pick up here. And what else did I talk about? Talked about the swaps for gems when I use Tukohamas. Overall, Solar Guards for clearing maps is the best, and for clearing bosses, you can use Tukohamas Vanguards for bossing. The damage is really, really insane, and that's about it. Really nice build, highly recommend. And I had so much fun playing it. I thought I would hate it, but it turned out to be one of my favorite builds. So that's about it. And if you have any questions, I guess you can ask. Once again, this is just like a one take, so sorry if I missed anything. And oh, bandits, 2 skill points. There we go. Take 2 skill points on the bandits, and that's it. All right, bye.